Hey everyone, it's me Aika with another video about Sigma2. So last time we were here, it was like a month and a half ago. So I'm going to show you what I've done since then. One thing that I noticed about Windows is that usually in a Windows application, when you move the window around, the thing stops redrawing, and the reason for that is because Windows really doesn't like it when you redraw stuff while you're dragging the window, because it puts it in this weird state where it's being controlled by the internal Windows, the internal API, and I don't know why it's designed like this, but I only really noticed it when programming in X Windows, which does not have this issue. It would move smoothly as I dragged the window around, and I wasn't sure how I could get the same effect in Windows. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is what it looks like with the window dragging and updating at the same time smoothly like in X Windows, right? So you can see how I'm dragging it around and it's still updating even though I'm holding the mouse down on the title bar. And you can try doing this with other spinning cube demos, other games, whatever, and it'll freeze up. Now let's talk about what it looks like when it freezes up. So I will just comment out the code that I'm using here to get through this problem with Windows. It's right here in syswin, right here. Right, and if we do this, then whoops, now it's not updating, and this is normal Windows behavior that you probably don't think about if you only use Windows. And so let me tell you what exactly I'm doing here. So I use the get window long pointer, which I don't have MSDN docs right now. Let me just open up Internet Explorer. God damn it. Okay. Right, and what did I just do? Fuck. Alright, this is just falling apart. So what happens to your code is that it sends you a WM enter size move message when you go into this mode, right? And that will start blocking the execution of your program while it's in this state. So the way that you get around this is you call the set timer function at the lowest timer interval, and what this does is it generates WM timer messages for you that your program can receive inside the enter size move state. And if you want to know the details of that, just look up the actual MSDN documentation. But the idea here is that you can't pass in long jumps or anything like that because you're executing this function within the Windows library. You're not executing it within your program. So my first idea was to set a long jump here, to long jump down to somewhere here, but you can't do that, of course. That won't work. So what you can do is you can call the set window long pointer and get window long pointer, which just lets you pass around a void and access it inside of the depths of the system internals. And so the special context data type is really just all of the structs that I need to update the game, which is basically all of them. And then the special update, if we go to main, is just the same as the main loop, right? And that is what I'm doing to get around this. So let's go back here, and you can see that I can move it around even though Windows doesn't really want me to do that. You can beat it, but this is a consequence of the method I'm using. So let's check out the task manager so you can see the CPU usage. Now, as I don't move it around, my CPU's not high at all. It's normal for what I'm doing, and then I'll begin moving it around. Come on. Let's just wait. And then stop moving it around. Okay, I don't know why it's not doing it, but when I was first doing this method, the CPU usage would spike up. It would become really greedy and the CPU usage would spike up. But right now it's not doing that. And what I suspect the reason is that I'm recording, and because I'm recording video, it might be taking the thing longer time to draw the frames, but I'm not really sure. So I can't really show that to you right now, but because it's a pretty finicky thing, your CPU usage. Alright, let me get out of that. So what else am I doing here? Let's get to something that's not just a spinning thing. And what that is, what I'm talking about, is this cool console background that I made. Let me just open up the graphics thing and look at this high-level graphics code, which is independent of OpenGL and Vulkan. All of the stuff in here is the hybrid thing. It's not very good at like bridging the gap, but I don't care very much as long as it's okay. And what that should do is it will draw this cool command line background where I can type these cool commands onto. So that is what it's doing now, and you might notice that there's a new thing called world, and what world is it's going to be the file, like the maps for my game. I'll just call them worlds. And let me show you what my world file looks like. And the spinning thing that you were seeing there was actually generated by my world file. So if I open up the map test.sw1, you can see right here that I literally just, it's pretty basic, right? There's no serialization, it's plain text, it's human readable, and I typed all this crap out myself. Now obviously I don't want to type this out myself every time. That's pretty tedious. The parsing for this is really simple. I shouldn't have to explain it. You just get triangles, and then you put the triangles in Vulkan, and then Vulkan will draw the triangles. Also, the reason that it's spinning is because I was testing out, you know, in OpenGL you have GL rotate 3F. Or whatever, you have the rotate functions and they rotate things for you. I've stopped using those now. It's all just procedures that I looked up because I don't know matrix multiplication very well. I can do it on paper, but I don't know the graphics matrices theory. So So, just routines to make the thing move around, and one of them was like rotate Y. So that's what I was doing, and there's something pretty cool to show you. So how am I going to make maps? I can't just type it out. I'm not going to type it out. I'm too lazy for that. So here is what my map editor is, and that is, right, I'll just open it up here. So we're now looking at Sigma2 Editor, and this map editor has absolutely zero real, it's very basic. I'm just working on the user interface, the graphics. I'm doing the graphics with Legacy OpenGL because Legacy OpenGL it's really fast to write Legacy OpenGL code, and you can do a lot with Legacy OpenGL code. Like Doom 3 is just made in Legacy GL, so I don't care. You can do a lot with it. Here's an example of what it does. You can resize the views. This probably looks a lot like Hammer Editor to you guys. Some of you have used Hammer Editor, because that's the only map editor that I have any real experience using, is Hammer Editor. So that's what I've decided to go for. And here it is doing this great stuff, and I'll draw some things on the world with it. Right, so here's me drawing a box. Right, that's pretty exciting. It's snapping to the grid because I just added that feature, and I was a little worried because you can create some degenerate shapes with this. See, this is a degenerate rectangular prism, and obviously we don't want that in our actual thing, in our actual world, but I'm sure I'll figure that out. I'll figure that part out just fine sometime. And yeah, also it clips your cursor around like this, so I cannot move my cursor off this thing when I'm... Jeez, is my cursor not being captured? Fuck. Hang on a sec. Alright, shit. Okay, we're back. We're back on to the video with my mouse cursor being captured, so you know that it's doing things accurately. Now, what can you do with this? You can do nothing with this program right now. It's just a UI. And if you press X, you do this. If you click and drag, you do this. The cursor cannot leave this area. It is clipped. Perfectly clipped. It's not perfectly clipped, but I round the things. I'm rounding it to the grid, so it looks like it's perfectly clipped. And you can resize all this shit all you want. It's fine. So if I do Control Tab, then we can see we're in one view only. And okay, hang on. Alright, there's a bug. I just found a bug. I can't just click and drag here. I can only click and drag in my viewport area, and that's because of some code that I wrote that I didn't test it on this because I don't... Whatever. Alright, so you can just toggle through the views with Tab. You can do stuff with it. This configuration is not very interesting yet because nothing at all is saved. So that's what this program is. It's coming along well, and that's basically it. I don't really believe that there's anything else here that I'm missing or that I should be showing you guys. Of course, this is the manual, The manual is just a manual of all the stuff that I used to make this and what all the little console commands do. You can't download it. I'm not giving you a download this time, and I haven't even written anything in this, or if I have, I just completely forgot to change the date. Anyway, that's just about all there is to it. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, the way I made that little graphic for the command line background is, if we go into our assets folder, I made it in this cool free program called Animator, animator.com. You can check it out if you want, and it's a pretty cool little program, and you can use it to make these kinds of things. So I've just got a camera and a light, a spotlight. I can change that, but I won't. And that is how I made it.